magnificence.
C'est ton rêve. God damn, bro.
Who the hell are you?
It's right to the face.
You asked for it.
Tutorial!
Whatever you're up to, pal. It ends now.
So one of the sneaking suspicions I think a lot of us had, was
God damn.
whether this is a game that looks really clunky and is really clunky to play, or if it just looks really clunky. And so far, in terms of movement and stuff, I think it just, frankly, like, looks extra clunky. It controls a little wonky, but like, I think it looks worse in footage than it actually is in practice. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. That was a funny time to do the title card. And I'll be real, guys, like, this looks way better than the preview footage, or even the footage in, like, a lot of the reviews we saw. Like, the detail on the glass, the light and God rays shining through the glass, you see how they kind of stick on the sort of fog and I don't know what you'd call it, just scum, maybe? I don't know, dust? I don't know. The markings and smudges on the glass actually affect the light rays coming through it. It's done really, really well. There's like a ton of detail. And I don't remember it looking this good in any of the previews, in any of the trailers or anything. I don't know if these are like late stage improvements they made, but they did a really good job with all this. Like, it might just be one of those games that just didn't really look that good until they put the final touches on it. And I mean, they did a great job. Now, granted, full transparency here, I am an ancient Egypt like fanatic. I love it. I have literally a pyramid behind me. One of my dreams is to go to Egypt and explore everything. I love it, okay? So whenever there's anything Egypt even slightly related, I get really giddy and into it. So I'm geeking out just a little bit. But that being said, and having disclosed that bias, I do want to just say, I mean, they did a really good job on a lot of the finer details in here. It's kind of refreshing. Like, the texture work is all really well done. I'm excited to see it. Can I break the glass? No, okay. I was like, how would they account for that? There is like a weird fall off in detail that's very, very sharp as you look off into the distance. So you can see right there in front of me as I approach it, the shadows change pretty drastically. That doesn't look very good. and that falls off real quick. I do have all my drivers and stuff updated, but other than that, like, it looks really, really good. But you know what? I don't want to be unfair or anything to this. I'm not just going to play the first little tidbit. I'm going to keep going through this, and I don't want to, like, spoil a bunch of story stuff for you in case you want to try this yourself on Game Pass. So I'll be back in just for you an instant, but I'm going to play a good chunk more of this, and then I'll be back to report my findings, okay? See you in a second. All right, so I've been playing for the rest of this evening, and it's currently 12:06 in the morning, and I have a flight I have to leave for at like 4:30. So I'm gonna kind of speed run through my thoughts here as effectively as I can. But I've been playing for the rest of this evening, experimenting with a bunch of stuff, and I have some like firm thoughts where I just fully disagree with some of the reviews I've seen so far in their evaluation of some elements of this, because straight up there's some things that were pointed out that reviewers indicated was not that big of a deal that to me is like actively driving me crazy. For one, the AI for some of these enemies is way worse than it was for even Star Wars Outlaws, which was primarily held back as a video game by the terrible AI. You will have guards standing no more than 10 feet apart, and you will hit one of them over the head with like an actual violin, and it won't alert the other one. Or if they're holding a gun or a weapon, you can use your whip to get it out of their hands, and they'll just leave it there. They won't try to pick it back up. They'll just kind of walk around like this in front of you trying to slap you. It's very, very dumbed down. And I've experimented with cranking difficulty options up and really trying to push it and see whether or not that actually helps. And so far, it makes them deal more damage, it makes them hurt more, but it doesn't actually do much to change their behaviors or how they actually move around levels or look for you. Now, in addition to the AI, the other thing I have to just point out is that the game is like really stupid easy because of that AI. Meaning you do need to like crank the difficulty and you do need to do some of that stuff. But overall, like if you want to just sprint through levels and not really think about anything, you can do that. There is a way to play this game where you just turn your brain off and you just go through the motions, and it works because the AI and the objectives are so like bare bones and stupid. You can do that, at least in the first like few hours so far. Maybe that changes as you get further and further and further. I did a lot of exploring in Vatican City. Maybe that, you know, was unreasonable of me, but so far I'm surprised at how mindless some of the game can be if you play it that way. At least it allows you to play it very mindlessly. I will say the puzzles I thought were fine. I do love the attention to detail in environments. I do love the attention to detail in the writing. I think the writing so far is really good and very Indiana Jones, very true to form. And so I like that stuff. But when it comes to the gameplay with regards to stealth or combat, certainly, or anything like that, the game is so far extremely lackluster and very, very frustratingly dull. However, as we saw with a lot of these reviews, there is an element of this which is kind of interesting, where for some players, for some of these people who reviewed it, that was not enough to disrupt their enjoyment of the game. And I think it's similar to the movies themselves, where for some people, the campy vibe, the sillier tone, the fact that like it's not that serious, like there's plenty of times when Indiana Jones probably should have been killed when he was doing what he was doing, but he didn't die because he's Indiana Jones and it's a blockbuster movie, and you just, you know, you don't take it that seriously. It's like a campy adventure movie. And I think that's a similar thing here, where if you're looking for something really intense and gritty, you're not gonna find it. If you're looking for a Naughty Dog game, you're not gonna get it here. It very much is its own thing, and if you meet it where it's at, and if you play it for what it is, I do think you can have fun. Is it a masterpiece based on what I'm seeing so far? No, there's plenty of things I think that could be improved or overhauled, but for what it is, which is like a campy Indiana Jones adventure game, it's solid. It's very like 2008 in its presentation and like vibe, where it's not trying to be the most incredible cinematic, whatever serious writing thing ever. It's just trying to be a good Indiana Jones game, and that might mean that it's not the most serious the most grounded, the most realistic in terms of stealth. It's not any of those things because it's something different. And I can appreciate that. I can understand what it is, but I think it reaffirms what my suspicion was at the beginning of starting this, which was that this is not going to be a game for everybody. Some people are going to absolutely love it and adore the campy vibes and adore the Indiana Jones story. I haven't gotten to the bit in Egypt yet. I spent a lot of time exploring the Vatican, but I'm sure once I get to Egypt, I'm going to be eating that up and I'll be enjoying those levels because, again, I am an Egyptian nerd. But for those people who enjoy those parts of this game, they're going to absolutely love it. And for some people, it very well could be their game of the year. I've seen people say as much. But for others who are looking for something a little bit more intense, a little bit more artsy, perhaps, that definitely is not going to be found here at all. It is a very campy, silly Indiana Jones game. And that is precisely why so many people seem to love it. And it's also precisely why I think a lot of people are going to try it and not like it at all. But here's the silver lining with all of this that perhaps justifies it in and of itself. And that is that this is a Game Pass title. And that makes it a whole hell of a lot easier to just say, try it. Right now it's in early access. It'll go public for everybody on the 9th, I believe. And then everybody will get it through Game Pass, and you won't have to pay an extra $35 to upgrade to the whatever edition. And at that point, I think you download it, you try the first hour and a half. That gives you a really good idea of what the entire game is going to kind of offer you. And you can see what you think of it. It is clunky. It is not the lightest game to run. Even on my 4090, you'll see some of this footage. It'll drop from 110 frames a second down into the 40s randomly. You'll just cross a threshold in like the Vatican City, and all of a sudden the frame rates just plummet. It's really, really weird, and I don't really understand why. Sometimes it does that, other times it doesn't. It's really odd, but on the whole, I am enjoying it for what it is, and it's one of those games where I can tell if I was really trying to break it apart, if I was doing like a big critique or something here, there would be plenty of material. But if you're just trying to enjoy it for what it is, you can have a good time. It's kind of like those old Just Cause games. If you remember, like Just Cause 2, Just Cause 3, they're not great games. You look at it, and there are plenty of problems with all of it. Like there are many, many holes in those stories and in everything they're doing there. But for what they are, oh God, I'm so sorry. Wait, I'm alive? I should not be alive after that fall. This is kind of what I mean. Like, what was that? But, okay, that was weird. Can I just climb up here? No. I'm gonna get beat to death by shirtless fascists. Not on my bucket list. Can I just shoot them? No, I don't have my gun. It's broken. Okay, just take me out. There you go. Like, what is this game? I don't even know. But again, it's like Just Cause. It's not that serious. If you try to enjoy it or like try to approach it as like an intense, gritty thing, you're gonna hate it. But if you play it to be something campy, silly, and kind of stupid, you're probably gonna have a really good time. And I think that is precisely what I'm gonna do. It's, you know, I never like to say you should play games by turning your brain off and just not thinking about like the downsides and negatives, but I think this is one of those games that really does need to be played that way for you to really enjoy everything for what it is. It's just not on that level, but if you like enjoy the classic campy indie vibes, I think you can really, really enjoy it. And I will give them credit. Some of these environments are very well done. There's a lot of attention to detail. And at the core, you can tell that the people that made this game really love Indiana Jones. And that perhaps should be a prerequisite for working on one of these. But it's really good to see that they seemingly did the source material justice. And though it may not be for you or me if I put more time into it and just burn out, I do think that this is a solid offering. It's a great get for Game Pass, and I think on the 9th you should check it out. Though I probably would not recommend that you pay extra to play it early, because I think that this is one of those some people will love, others will think is absolute average dog wash. And I'm too early to say where I land, but right now I'm teetering on the vibes are good, the game and the gameplay is kind of mediocre. But I would love for that to change as we keep going. But I will keep you posted. Come over to the live channel, and I'll let you know when I'm on stream next. After I've played some more, I will give you lots of thoughts because I'm sure I will have them. So until next time, my friends, it's very late. I'm going to go to bed. I love you all, and I'll see you soon. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye. Make sure to subscribe. We got lots of videos coming, okay? I love you. Bye. I'm bad at outros.
What the angle is, like, why this game? Well, hold on, let me keep up with the I'm never getting Game with Spoons for 5. As a religious person, takes like Roberts pisses me off. This is what gives religious people a bad name. Stay smashing smash. Thank you so much for saying that, because I thought I was going crazy. So, like, I've never attacked someone for their religion. I've never come at them for that. They're more than welcome to believe whatever the fuck they want to believe. That's their deal. I don't get why they're trying to impose that on other people. That's what do you call it? Like
Projection?
not projection. When
Overbearing?
white people come in and take your land, what do you call it? Colonizing.
Colonization.
Colonization.
Colonizing. They're colonizing how you feel about big boobs.
100%. No one. You can take my land. You can take my house. Do not take away my titties. All right. There, put that. Jeremy Webb. I just don't understand. He got huffy about an optional game mechanic, but won't say a thing about Twitch girls. Seems like it was just easy target. Right? First
Hey, did
off,
somebody say exposed? Are there new dance emotes for Christmas? Because they haven't been dance emotes up until now.
what's
Best
that?
emote they had was like a bongo drum emote where we kind of bounced around while we played the bongo drums. And that was easy.
Jeremy Webb, shout out to you, man. Thank you so much for the incredible support. And yeah, we're trying to figure out the mystery of where the hell this all got started. Seaton for 2. As RTE says, they are just social justice classics. David Elias for 2. Kyle is based. Woke right, wounded, D&D's rep. They did. And yes, he is. David Ellis for another 2. The woke right turned D&D into the woke left. Sure. Absolutely. They did. Mr. Hardcore mode for 5. Prawn? Her? The character with more clothes on than Cammy in Street Fighter? Thank you! That was the only one. Oh, damn. Mark Collins for 5. Explain how it's anti-free speech to hate boomers. But it isn't. Is this the same comment you gave earlier?
No, he rephrased it to make it so we can understand it.
That's
Explain
So,
how
good.
anti-free
It's not. We're not saying that he's anti-free speech for saying that he hates boomers. That's not. Nobody said that. Nobody
Maybe
said
that's
that.
the
We said
best
that-
argument that they have is to put words in people's mouth because we haven't seen that before.
He said that
I
the way
never
that he
said anything
came
about
off on his tweet was condescending, and it seemed like he was more pro-censorship for the
Yeah,
way that people create art.
And he kept falling back on, I never said censorship. I'm like, I never said you said censorship. I'm just saying what you're doing is going down the road of censorship. And if you say anything but that, you're either completely oblivious to reality or you're lying. So yes, it's not about being anti-free speech. It's about potential heading down the road of censorship.
And again, if you want to have a video game with pronouns in it, that's completely fine. The market is able to say that they like or dislike said thing. That's your right as a customer. The same way as if you say with Dread Roberts, if there's a game that he considers too degenerate or something, he's within his right to say that he doesn't like that. Is somebody's within their right to say that they don't agree with his take.
And that's the most important thing that I think everybody, we don't want anybody to shut up. You know, we are glad that they are making their opinions heard. We just, of course, they're subject to scrutiny. All of what we say is subject to scrutiny. We are not implying that, oh, it is free speech, it's anti-free speech. No, we just think, you conflating this with pornography and then bringing in decency and all this. It's almost like obvious bait. You can't look at it and think that it's obvious bait, because if you can't, I think that the AI can. And I don't mean it to you guys, I mean it to the person making that comment.
That was actually, if he was going for interaction and bait, that was a gold post. It really was. But I don't
Because it
think
seemed insane, yes.
Yeah, but I don't think he was going for that.
No, he completely believes what he's saying. He does.
Exactly. Marksman of 117B, Bible thumpers, woke, both want lecture and control. They do. and they get really mad if you put them in the same bucket. But at the end of the day, it's two ends of the same horseshoe.
Yeah.
BioT Wolf, 19 for 2. Bigot Army Raid, clapping yo cheeks. Thank you so much again for the 2 and the Bigot Army Raid. Appreciate it.
You touching my cheeks, bro. Chill out.
Heyo, only your feet. Walter for 5. Isn't this because since they feel like the current fight is at the finish line, so they got to start a new fight, have things to talk about, money, monetize? No, it's not about. For them, it's not. I hope it. Goddamn, I hope it's not about growth, because this is a way to kill your channel. Don't talk about religion. Don't talk about politics in the gaming realm. People don't like that. The only reason I said this earlier, the only reason I talk about it is because it was brought up, and I talk about what goes on in the game industry. I give my perspective on it. Please don't bring this shit up. Can we just talk about the games? That would be great. Other people are starting to reject this shit, and it becomes a problem, and it hurts everyone. Nobody comes away winning when you start talking about religion. We all know this, so just don't go there. Like, it's a bad idea. It's a very bad idea. And you guys feel free to jump in on anything I said there, but
No, you're good. You kind of hit it on the nail.
Daihi becomes a member all on their own. Welcome to the channel, Daihi.
Let's get some souls!
And then following that up, DJ gifting 10 Smash JT memberships. Holy DJ.
Let's get some souls!
That's a banger. I gotta give you the Street Fighter for the 10 Smash JT.
For you, the day Bison graced your village was the most important day of your life.
Oh, I saw this. Look at this. This is funny, bro.
Another
The studio for Avowed has, bro, they have a mole in the studio. They've got a man on the inside that's exposing what they're saying. Yeah, caught? I know.
Blower has come forward from Obsidian
There's
Entertainment,
one good man.
providing me with some actual.
So if there's anything good about the game, it's probably from him. That's how, you know what? That's how they should figure out who the leaker is. When the game comes out, look at the function of the game that's liked by players. That's the guy who leaked it. Yep. Real simple.
Screenshots
Just
of
fire him.
internal dialogue and conversations from Matt Hansen. And these screenshots that have been provided to me completely expose not just the toxic environment of Obsidian Entertainment currently, but how Matt Hansen himself is actively encouraging it and making it worse. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash
Okay,
18.
let's see
This
it.
is now the
yeah.
third different person associated with Obsidian Entertainment reaching
I
out
should make a t-shirt that says gamers rise up and try to sell it and see how many I sell. That would be such a good idea.
to me. Like a one-off would be like, oh
Yeah.
wow, okay, we got a whistleblower here. This is becoming like almost a daily trend where someone who
Fuck
works
it,
at
yeah.
Obsidian has had enough of the BS that they've been shoving down everyone's throat, and they want change to happen.
Okay, let's see it.
Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full and extreme.
I think that there's probably a lot of people that are worried about their job. Because, like, if you have somebody at your work that you know is causing a bunch of problems, you know that eventually it will affect you, right? It's not going to happen overnight, but there will be a convergence point where you get fucked.
Exhaustive article going through
It's gonna tank,
not
yeah.
just these screenshots, but additional information I've been
The
told
roach theme
from
shirt, yeah.
other whistleblowers about Matt Hansen and his job security situation going on at Obsidian right now.
Ooh, uh-oh.
Because this is getting insane. A whistleblower with internal information from Obsidian Entertainment has come forward with shocking screenshots and Slack messages
Let's see it.
from Matt Hansen. completely exposing the company's internal toxic culture.
And this is also really important to say, is that any of this kind of stuff that you see, like, none of it was notarized by, like, the state, right? I mean, like, it's not like we have a video of it. It's a screenshot. So, like, you can take everything here with a grain of salt. You can never be certain that it's true. Could all be bullshit. Yeah, it's always important to say that.
Reached out to me with
Always
a
be
murder
skeptical.
email to protect their identity, fearing that once again, of course, severe backlash for daring to expose the truth would soon follow if their name got out there. And it's a trend we're seeing not just at Obsidian Entertainment, but the video game industry at large has turned into this cult-like mentality of
I think that it's very interesting that if you think that if your ideas get out into the public, or what you do privately and what your values are privately get out to the public, that you'll be in trouble, maybe you should think about the quality of those values. Maybe it's because the values are bad.
Blackballing anybody who dares speak out against the ideology, the message. The information they've shared with me is honestly pretty troubling, not just for Matt Hansen, but the entire environment that's been created over the past few years at Obsidian Entertainment. And it paints a very grim picture of what life is like now at one time, one of the industry's most beloved game development studios.
Well, that never lasts.
As with all my coverage with the video game industry, this insight I'm providing in this video is for informational purposes only. Please do not reach out, contact, or in any way, shape, or form harass any of the people I'm going to be naming in this video. The best way for us to fight back against the broken ideology is to simply shine a light on it and let nature run its course naturally on it. Only way, it's the best way, it's the right way. I've been sent
I think that's another reason why these people don't want to have these viewpoints exposed to the public. It's because they know that they can't exist in the free marketplace of ideas. They know that if people see them saying this, they will get called out for being ridiculous.
Of Slack messages from Obsidian's internal communications, revealing a hostile and very toxic work environment led by none other than Matt Hansen, Obsidian's art director, someone who I've talked about in great detail in multiple videos previously. He oversees many employees at Obsidian, and by all accounts, fostered an awful atmosphere where ideological conformity is not just encouraged, but demanded. And if you step out of line or dare question it, you're the next person on the chopping block. The internal Slack messages reveal a disturbing trend of certain employees at Obsidian banding together to ridicule and berate not just Elon Musk, but also going at Grumps on Twitter. These people have Grumps derangement syndrome and Musk derangement syndrome.
Why does everybody hate Mark Kern so much? I can see, like, not liking his opinions, but I feel like the level of vitriol that Mark Kern gets is crazy. It's like, what? He's the biggest on Twitter, I guess. His takes are a bit deranged. Yeah, but there's a lot of people that are deranged, right? What I'm saying is, like, I don't think that he's, like, any more. Is he more deranged than other people? I feel like there's a lot of people that are deranged.
They cannot stand people on the other side of their ideologies. And with some of the things that are said here, publicly on the Slack, internally at Obsidian, is pretty sketch. Joao Alvarez shared the photo that many people have already seen, where Elon Musk was pointing out how pronouns were in this role-playing game, and how pronouns have no place in role-playing. And instead of them talking about this and trying to maybe put their heads together and reevaluate what the gamers want, they are celebrating it internally on their Slack channel, where Joao Alvarez says, "We've done it," clapping.
I do think that there is a large percentage of people, I don't know whether it's majority, I think that it's probably becoming a majority if it's not, and like this amount of people is going up, that people, it's kind of like, you know, you can't fault humans for pattern recognition, really, and I think it's very obvious that like games that try to enforce pronoun usage are oftentimes games that have other types of unpopular, weird social messaging. So I think people seeing pronouns and they're like, oh geez, it's gonna be one of these games, right? And so where there's smoke, there's fire, exactly. And so I don't think people really have a problem with the pronouns themselves. Like some people do, but it's not, they exist inside of a larger ideology that comes with them.
Big clapping, sharing the image of Elon Musk pointing out how there's pronouns, and then Schwab follows it up with, let me know if this is too political and I'll delete it. Just thought it was funny, getting a shout out from the man himself.
I'm gonna be honest, him saying that, there's nothing wrong with it at all. Wow, one of the most famous and richest people in the world talked about your game in a public place. Yeah, of course you mentioned this, and there's nothing wrong with him saying that. That's not bad, no.
And honestly, taking a step back here, sure, it was out of line to share this, but at least...
I disagree. I don't think it was out of line at all. It's directly related to their work, and it's one of the most influential people in the world talking about it. I don't think there's anything wrong with them sharing it.
Schwab was like, hey, if this is too political, I'll take it off Slack, because honestly, they realized it's probably pretty unprofessional to share this and talk like this. They're just trying to own the Judds and can't help but celebrate it. But this goes to the toxic culture that's being created there, because Justin Bull replies with, this is a badge of honor. We did well. And
yeah, with a surprise, with the parentheses, he, him. Yep, there we go. And, yep, easy. That's it? Yeah. And so this is where it does kind of become a problem, where people... their idea of success is making other people unhappy who disagree with them. This is just generally not a very good creative... It's not a very...
This Marvel Rivals tips video is stacked with cool gameplay tricks, really useful settings tips, secret ways to get skins and cosmetics for cheaper or entirely free, and a bunch of other information you'll really want to know to not only make yourself better at the game, but to make sure you're having more fun. I'll start with some settings tips, and then we'll look at some secret things in game to get you skins cheaper and special cosmetics, and then we'll look at some really useful gameplay tips. Right, the first thing we're going to start with is a couple of settings options that will really help you out massively. This game has some awesome options. If you go to the audio tab, the first setting I want to show is in the combat mix tab. This specifically allows you to make certain audio in game louder, so that can really help. Now, you can get into the real nitty-gritty details, and I'll show you what I think are the best options, but first you want to choose a preset. Listen to the differences of this preset when I add the audio here. This is default, this is focus, and this is immersion. So immersion is going to add a lot of audio that makes this game sound more immersive, but isn't good for gameplay. Obviously, the best choice is focus if you care about hearing everything that's important to doing better in the game. And this is going to allow you to have less confusion when things are going on all around you. Now, you can take this further. You have a specific volume level for when you deal damage. Venom. When you deal damage to enemies, you can adjust the volume of that. I like 4 personally. Now, the most important one in my opinion is the damage volume level. You can adjust how loud the sound effect is for when you take damage. I've maxed that. Usually it's 3, but I've put that to 5. So you know exactly when you're taking damage. This is Superhero. This is going to make sure that taking damage is one of the most clearest sound effects in the game. You can also adjust the volume of when you heal someone and when you're being healed, which can be useful as well. I like to lower the announcer volume. So when the announcer says certain things in game, it can kind of become a little too loud and overlap other important sounds. So turning that down is useful. Now by default, these 2 options are actually turned off. Knockout sound cue. So if a teammate is killed or an enemy is killed, it can have different announcer sounds. Now personally, I like to have this one on. Announce when a teammate is KO'd, because sometimes a teammate may run off on their own and you don't even notice that they died. So this to me personally is quite useful, and you can adjust the volume level of that. Another important one is you can adjust the volume of when you hit an enemy. Now, I've got it on the default setting, but I do actually like to lower this one, material layer volume. So for example, when you hit something like Captain America's shield, personally that sound effect is a bit too loud for my liking, so I turn that down a little bit. Now, before we get into some really cool hero-specific settings that are really going to help you play a lot better and be less frustrated with silly things happening, let's first take a look at some pretty cool things. If you go to the keyboard section, you have HUD, reticle. You've got a lot of customization on how your reticle looks. You can change many different things like the blur, the opacity levels, the width, the length of the crosshair style, so many other things. Now, you'll probably want to find something that works for you, but one of the most important things is the color of the crosshair. Now, with enemies default being highlighted in red, personally, I like a nice yellow, but you can even scroll down and customize it completely to any color you want. And you can find the RGB code or color hex code online, and you even have color hues and brightness and saturation. There's so much crosshair customization hidden within the menus. And you can even go further to adjust the dot. Let's say you got a crosshair, you can adjust the dot and then the crosshair. So for example, right now,